being recorded.
Maitreyi College, established in 1967, is a premier institute of the University of Delhi. The college bears its name from the Vedic sage Maitreyi and project her ideals in the education system by bridging the modernity and its tradition. We have a short video to provide the glimpse and insight of our beautiful college.
विद्या और ज्ञान का केंद्र मैत्रेयी कॉलेज चाणक्यपुरी में स्थित दिल्ली विश्वविद्यालय का एक प्रतिष्ठित कॉलेज। खूबसूरत आकर्षक कैंपस, न जाने कितनी सुनहरी मीठी यादें अपने अंदर संजो कर बैठा है। मैत्रेयी कॉलेज के लिए यह वर्ष बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण है।
The role of an institution is to provide an environment that is based on strong academic principles that facilitates the collaborative and creative learning for all the students. And it has been possible all because of our committed teachers, very supportive administrative and technical staff, and above all, our gifted students.
हर वर्ग और जाति, भिन्न भिन्न प्रांतों और यहाँ तक कि विदेशों से भी छात्राएं मैत्रेयी कॉलेज में एडमिशन लेती हैं। हमारा उद्देश्य इन छात्राओं को ह्यूमैनिटीज, साइंस या कॉमर्स कोर्स में अंडर ग्रेजुएट लेवल की केवल डिग्रीज दिलवाने तक सीमित नहीं, बल्कि उनके सशक्त व्यक्तित्व का निर्माण एवं समाज व राष्ट्र में सशक्त भूमिका निभाने के लिए उन्हें प्रेरित करना है। और हम गर्व के साथ कह सकते हैं कि मैत्रेयी समुदाय ने मैत्रेयी नाम के गौरव को वर्तमान तक कायम रखा हुआ है। मैत्रेयी वैदिक काल की प्रसिद्ध विदुषी और ऋषि याज्ञवल्क्य की पत्नी थी। अपने जीवन में मैत्रेयी ने सांसारिक संपत्ति की तुलना में ज्ञान के चयन को प्राथमिकता दी थी। वो ब्रह्मवादिनी थी। मैत्रेयी समुदाय ब्रह्मवादिनी मैत्रेयी के जीवन आदर्श को सर्वोपरि मानकर उसके साथ प्रतिबद्ध है। विद्यार्थियों में ज्ञान की लौ प्रज्वलित करना हमारा उद्देश्य है। मैत्रेयी कॉलेज से शिक्षा पाकर हमारी भूतपूर्व छात्राएं एजुकेशन, म्यूजिक, डांस, स्पोर्ट्स, टीवी चैनल्स, बॉलीवुड, इंडियन आर्मी, एयरफोर्स, यहाँ तक कि विदेशों में भी विभिन्न सम्मानजनक पदों पर नियुक्त हैं। हमें गर्व है छात्राओं की इन महत्वपूर्ण उपलब्धियों पर। इन्हीं के फलस्वरूप मैत्रेयी कॉलेज आज राष्ट्रीय, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर विकास और सफलता की नई नई ऊंचाइयां छू रहा है।
I want to thank Maitreyi College for giving me the Distinguished Alumni Award. I feel so honored to have received this award, and it means so much to me. Maitreyi College gave me both the foundation and the momentum to build my career. At present, I live near San Francisco, California, and I'm the president and CEO of a healthcare company. I am proud to say that because of my company, more than 100 people back in India have good quality and reliable jobs. For those of you presently studying at Maitreyi College, I urge you to embrace your good fortune.
1987 में मैत्रेयी कॉलेज नेताजी नगर की स्कूल बिल्डिंग से चाणक्यपुर स्थित इस आकर्षक भव्य बिल्डिंग में पूर्ण रूप से शिफ्ट हो गया। प्रिंसिपल डॉक्टर सीता श्रीवास्तवा का अत्यधिक महत्वपूर्ण योगदान, जिसके लिए मैत्रेयी समुदाय सदैव उनका आभारी रहेगा। अपने कार्यकाल के दौरान उन्होंने कॉलेज की वर्तमान बिल्डिंग के हर एक विंग का विशेष रुचि लेकर निर्माण करवाया। इन्हीं बीते पलों और मीठी यादों को एक खूबसूरत अंदाज में सहेज कर बैठा है मैत्रेयी कॉलेज का ये आकर्षक परिसर।
Now, I would like to invite our convener, teacher, coordinator, Dr. Jyotsna Talreja Vasan, to introduce our speaker and this event.
Thank you, Bhavya. Hello, everyone. Greetings for the day and very warm welcome to eminent guests, esteemed faculty members, research scholars, colleagues, and students from different parts of India and world present here today. John Skelly has rightly said that health innovation enabled by digital technologies is an incredible, interesting, complex problem to work on. Hence, the Department of Computer Science, Maitri College, thought of hosting this webinar on digital health. I, Dr. Jyotsna Vasan, on behalf of Department of Computer Science, Maitri College, extends a very special welcome to our esteemed speaker, Professor Huri Jain Singh, who is from School of Computing, University of Ulster, United Kingdom, and patron and chair of this webinar, Honorable Principal of Maitri College, Professor Haritma Chopra. Friends, digital technologies are now integral to daily life, and the world's population has never been more interconnected. Innovation, particularly in the digital sphere, is happening at unprecedented scale. Even so, its application to improve the health of populations remains largely untapped, and there is immense scope for the use of digital health solutions. Even WHO is harnessing the power of digital technologies and health innovation to accelerate global attainment of health and the well-being. We are very lucky today. Professor Jain will enlighten us on this topic. I feel privileged to introduce Professor Jain. She is the Professor of Computer Science with the School of Computing, Ulster University, United Kingdom. She is a full-time member of Computer Science Research Institute at Ulster University and a fellow of UK Higher Education Academy. She was awarded a PhD in Computer Science applied to Bioinformatics in 2003 and a postgraduate certificate in Teaching and Higher Education in 2005 from Ulster University. Professor Singh is an active researcher in bioinformatics and healthcare informatics. Within a broad interest in data mining, data integration, machine learning, and healthcare support systems, she has a research interest and expertise in integrative data analytics in the field of systems biology and intelligent data analysis, assistive technology to support healthcare and independent living. She has a successful track record of winning research funding as a principal investigator and has been a grant holder of prestigious research projects funded by EPSRC, TSB, Dell, NHS, Invest NI, and European Commission, including Smart Self-Management Platform for Connected Health, Cardio Workbench, mHealth for Africa, SenseCare, and Metaplat. The products of her research has been reflected in more than 200 peer-reviewed journals and conference publications with over 3,000 citations. Professor Singh is a senior member of IEEE. She serves on the editorial board of several international journals and serves as the co-chairs and the program committees for several international conferences. In this webinar, Professor Singh will introduce us to digital health and its approaches, highlighting her recent work in the area with the examples of the applications. The webinar will conclude with the discussion of challenges and opportunities in digital health. So, not taking much more time, I would like to invite and request the principal of Maitri College, chair of the session, Professor Haritma Chopra, to inaugurate this webinar with her enlightening words. Over to you, Professor Haritma.
Thank you, Jyotsna. I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to be a part of this webinar. At the outset, on the behalf of Maitri fraternity, I extend a very warm welcome to Professor Jain for accepting our invite and being a part of this webinar, which is on a very important topic, which is pertaining to digital health. And in fact, I hope everybody would agree with me that over the past 2 years, especially over the past 2 years, we have realized that how the technology has played a very important role in combating with the situation when the entire world was grappling with this pandemic, and how this pandemic has been transformed into epidemic, and now it has been restricted to a very small scale, and we have been able to manage that. And if we just do the analysis, we will realize that technology has actually played a very, very important role. And many times when we look at in the larger interest of the community, in larger interest of the public health, many times it is the selectivity, many times it is the specificity which becomes important. And depending upon the need of the hour, we have to work. And I'm sure that those who are who are part of India, because this is the webinar which is I'm sure it is being attended by the students across different countries. So there would be many people from other countries as well. But in India, I know that with everyone, I'm sure that everybody would agree to it, that it is on the click of the button on their smartphones, the information regarding their booster dose, when were they given the vaccination, whether it was the first dose, second dose, when is their booster planned, and when can they visit. So all information related to Covishield, whether what type of vaccination they are using, and what protocols they have to manage, what they have to follow. Every information was available. It is still available. And in fact, they can look into the history also, and they will realize. And many times, because when different apps were developed in India, and while sitting in our homes only, we could identify that within the area of, say, that's a area of 1 kilometers, or within the area of 2 kilometers, 5 kilometers, how many people who are infected with COVID, infected with COVID are there, so that we could handle that situation, and we could emerge as, maybe I will say that during these last 2 years, we all have emerged to be a victorious people, and where the people from healthcare industry, they have actually acted like a frontline warriors. And what they have done, it has all been possible because at the back end, they were given a definite support by the technology. And it is when we are interacting, when we are sitting here, this is another important impact that we all have observed, that let it be any part of the world, but we all can connect at the same time and share our feelings and our observations. And that is why it is so fortunate for us that we have with us Professor Jain from UK, who would be interacting with us, and she would be talking about her perspective. And I was also thinking that maybe this is the time when academia and industry, they all have to come together, collaborate, so that we are able to combat, we are able to handle such situations in a more, we'll say, more systematic manner. There are so many things. This is just a beginning, maybe in this direction, because if we look at history, if you just go through different aspects, you will realize that this is not for the first time when the human population was grappling with some pandemic. In fact, it happens after every century. So after every 100 years, there is one pandemic. But the way it has been handled this year, I think it has been recorded in the history, and maybe in times to come, whenever somebody has to understand how to handle a pandemic, these would actually will be like setting up a milestone. So many things are there, but how we are specifically handling with public health and how digital health is coming up and it is taking its own, making its own space in the present world, which needs to be understood. And for this, we have with us Professor Jain. On the behalf of Maitreyi College, I once again extend a very warm welcome to her and thank her for accepting our invite. And I also congratulate the computer department of Maitreyi College for organizing such sessions, because I'm sure that these sessions would be like a guiding lamp. So thank you so much, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this event.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your valuable and intuitive thoughts. We shall begin our session now. I request all the participants to kindly mute their mics and turn off their cameras to ensure we are helping you the best. We have a chat box to source your question. All the questions will be answered at the end of this session. You have to attend the full session to fill the feedback form in the end and receive your respective certificates. Over to you, Professor Zain. You shall start now.
Thank you. So I will share my screen first. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, Professor Jain.
Okay, thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you for the very kind introduction by Georgina, and thank you for the highlights and very insight and comments and overview of the digital health by Professor Harimat Chopra. That's very in-depth of knowledge and to share by you. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about digital health in a very wide range, but then we'll focus on the research we carry out, and then we discuss what the future would be, what other opportunities would be. So firstly, I would introduce the university. So Ulster University is based in Northern Ireland, UK. So we have 4 campuses: Belfast campus, Jordanstown campus, Coleraine, and Londonderry. If you are not familiar with Northern Ireland, but I'm sure that you will be familiar with Titanic. That's where the Titanic was built, and we have the Titanic Museum in Belfast. And also, most of you may be familiar with the Game of Thrones. So a lot of things are casted or are taken in Northern Ireland. For example, this is the Dark Age. So there are other nice places to visit in Northern Ireland, and I welcome to everyone. You know, if you have opportunities, do come over here and pay a visit. And you can also give me a shot when you come over. And then I'm based in Belfast now. So we just moved from Jordanstown to Belfast. And this is our new buildings. And that's where in the corner here that I pointed, that's the building that I based. So very nice in city center, and Georgina used to come back to visit us now. So now just introduce of the School of Computing where I base. So in School of Computing, we have 2 research centers. One is Artificial Intelligence Research Center, and the other one is Pervasive Computing Research Center. So we work on different research areas, and ranging from the informatics system, now called data analytics and systems, to the human and computer interaction. So I base at AI Research Center, and I'm leading the data analytics and systems and research thing. And then across the 2 research and centers, we also have 2 innovation centers. And one is the Operative Technology Innovation Center. The other one is British Telecom Island Innovation Center. And then around all these research center, we also have one Connected Health Innovation Center. It is an innovation center, but it's link all the research and in the other 2 innovation center together. And as Joshna introduced, my research area, it's on machine learning and integrative data analytics, and applied into 2 areas. One is bioinformatics and biomedicine, and the other one is healthcare informatics and digital health. So today I'm going to focus on the second part of digital health. So let's move to the digital health. Now we all know that people are living longer this year. And then we see lots of happy face, but we also see some unhappy face in the community because they suffer from different type of health conditions. And now when people living longer, it's not always people still, practice and active. So we see in some nations, for example, in China, people practice Tai Chi, dance in square. In India, maybe a lot of people doing yoga practice as well. But then it's not always the case. And especially during the pandemic, people are constrained in the house. But even outside the pandemic, people getting increasingly unhealthy due to the attractive of different diet. So and then also all the social media, all the development of technology, the television, etc. So people can be sitting there, no active at all. And that increased a lot of problem. And one news that I heard this morning from the UK government, they in the past, one policy introduced to prevent obesity is stop the business doing 2-for-1 promotion for the sweets or other unhealthy, food. But today, the news said they are going to scrap this. So we can see that it have impact of the prevention of obesity. And Professor Chopra talked about the COVID pandemic earlier. Yes, when the pandemic happened and people are housebound, it's not just the exercise, but also access to the healthcare, access to the treatment are all constrained. So all this promote the question, how are we going to address that? And one very important clinical challenge or healthcare challenge is chronic conditions. So what are the chronic conditions? The chronic conditions are those conditions or disease that last a year or more and require ongoing medical attention. And it can also limit you for activities of daily living or both. So if you are in the age like me, above 50s, I'm sure most of us have sort of chronic conditions. And that's being a very, a high percentage in the population. So most common chronic conditions are heart disease, cancer, stroke, and COPD and diabetes, but they can be some other conditions, for example, chronic pain, or some very simple thing like stomach acid reflux. So those conditions required a lot of clinical care, and that cause the economic burden. And it can also cause a lot of death as well, can be life-threatening. So how to deal with this? One strategy is using self-management. And the self-management is a process that through which individuals can manage their chronic disease themselves in daily lives. So this is not a new concept. The strategy or the framework was introduced in a number of countries years ago, try to reduce the impact of chronic disease. The main goal for this is basically you have to live with chronic conditions, because most of those chronic conditions are no cure, but live with them and while maintain quality of life. And the second goal is then you want to preventing or slower down the deteriorating procedures. And for some conditions, of course, what you tried is to regain the functions through your self-management, for example, activities or exercise or rehabilitation, such as like speech. You want to talk after stroke, you can train for some mild stroke, okay? So with those framework were in place or have been in place years ago, and it was clinical used, and then with the technology development, and now it has been towards into more using digital technology to support those health, to support the self-management. So when we talk about digital health, it can link with the wearable technologies. It can also link to the mobile health, mHealth, and it can be used to support the telehealth for the remote monitoring. And it has also been used to support the well-being, and all the information that health-related information can be visualized and can be analyzed. And that's the whole, digital health vision. Now, talking about the wearable technology, of course, that's played the important role in digital health. So for the wearable technology, when we talk about that, we can think of different type of technology. For example, if we look at the overall one, and we can see the wearable that ranging from the smart glasses like Google Glass down to some smart the smart watch or the wearable, wristband, for example, like Fitbit or Mi Band, etc. And then also have those COPD or the SpO2 finger detection, and also have the Zephyr smart bells and some ECG or heart rate device can also be embedded into the smart shirt or vest to detect the physiological signals. And then going down there, you range down to the smart socks and smart shoes and even smart insoles that we are working on. So this is the whole body wearable technology. With this whole body wearable technology, and it's possible then we can use that to manage the chronic conditions. And it's not just to monitoring the physical signals, but also can monitoring your behaviors. And then they can also monitoring your intake of medication. And all this will then be able to provide the assisted living and can also be provide the telehealth and telecare. As Professor Chopra mentioned earlier, for example, during the pandemic, people have limited access to the hospital. I don't know about in India, but in the UK, all the GP appointments were done by telephone. So with this technology, with the technology that will really help you, if you can rate your SpO2 at home, if you can rate your blood pressure at home, that will save a lot of hassle. Now we have been working in this area over 15 years. So the clinical conditions that we have been looking at, including all this, so ranging from dementia and chronic pain stroke, that's chronic heart failure and COPD, down to diabetes, pregnancy care, and also provide the support to the general aging populations and mental health as well. So I'm going to introduce some projects that we have been carried out, and then use the project to raise the discussion. So this is one of the earliest projects that we carry out, and the project is funded by EPSRC called Nocturnal. And the reason I put in this, because I think this is going to be the change, although currently we are still behind this, we are still behind this, real application and scale up stage, okay? And so this project is to develop a system to provide nighttime care for people with dementia. And for dementia patients, one thing is one symptom is that they can confused with the time, daytime and nighttime. It's very easy confused. And a lot of falls happened at the nighttime because they could get up at night and thought that's the daytime and going downstairs into kitchen to make tea, etc. But the lighting was poor. So we use sensors to monitoring their routine at night. So when they get up at night, a bed sensor will detect their wake up, and then you will automatically trigger the lightings to guide them from the bedroom to bathroom. And when they finish, we'll guide them back to the bedroom. And we'll also detect their voice and ask them, have the conversation, ask them if they would like to provide, to play music to help them sleep or not. So that's the concept of the whole system. And the system, the intelligent bit behind this IoT system is the multi-agent system. So have a coordinator agent to look at the monitoring agent's information and to feed all the data to therapeutic intervention agent. So the project was work with the Fold Care and Housing Association. They provide the shelter home for elderly people. And so that they will be able to get the information. If necessary, then they can send a nurse to the shelter home to look at the situation. So that's the first project we finished. And the second project we're talking about is mainly focused on the self-management. And for this one, it's also supported by EPSRC. So we look at 3 types of conditions. So the conditions we look at here is stroke and CHF, which is chronic heart failure, and chronic pain. So the sensors we use, as you can see, we have the smart in-shows, and also then have the bed sensors, the PIR motion sensors, which will be installed at home, and smart scales, and that's the best sensors, yeah. And then for the system we develop, we provide the user-central design, tailor design to different users, has a bedside unit and also have the mobile app, so that each different conditions, people, they can have different goal and they can select different devices and have different monitoring, different intervention. For example, for stroke patient, they will have I don't have the sensors display here, but they have a accelerometer sensor attached to their upper limb, and they can do exercise, or they can wear the smart in-shows if they need to do the rehabilitation exercise on the lower limb, for example. And then the mobile app will set a goal, and also provide them the knowledge of how to manage them. And when they achieve the goal, will provide encouragement feedback to them. And the smart self-management project was a little bit earlier. So the technology at that time was limited. For example, we were even worrying about what if people have no broadband at home. However, with the technology evolve, we also evolve our system. So this is the update version of the smart self-management system, and supported by NHS. That's particular use for people with COPD. In this new system, then we get rid of the desktop system. It's all mobile based. Because of COPD, then that's need to monitoring the heart rate and respiration. So we use the Jaffer chest band, and then use Fitbit to monitoring the exercise, because they couldn't do too much of physical activity, but they need to do some physical activity. So the tip is to get the balance right. And then also need to get the environmental data or contextual data from the weather from the noise level, because if the air pollution is too high, they should stay inside. And then the nighttime noise level is important to make sure that they can sleep well at night. So with the smartphone develop the mobile technology and develop, then we develop a set of different mobile apps and to support the different type of requirement from the clinical, from the health. So that's for the pulse ankle sprint, and this is for the service develop, and this is for the reminder adoption, for the reminder, to send out for people. And it's for how to integrate different sensors and to sensing for big data. Sorry, could someone mute your mic, please? Okay, and I mentioned earlier that we have Connect Health and Center and SHIC, and then we also, that's in the school, in the university, and this is then, you can see the chain, how Connected Health platform, how Connect Health will be, it's important. So this is the Connected Health platform for self-management and project funded by Invest NI. And we evolve the project that we have. It's built upon on the previous project. So we developed Keep Well and self-management platform. And this platform, we aim that to be scaled up that can be applied to different conditions. So we choose 3 conditions: dementia, COPD, and stroke, as the to evaluate the system. But the idea is basically, and that can be scalable. Whenever other conditions come in, we can pick up the relate or the relevant and device, and then we can then put into our system. So so in this one, compared to the previous one, that you can see, we now have the blood pressure, and we have the scale, the smart weight scale, and still have Fitbit as to monitoring the activities as well. So now I'm going to move to the European project, SenseCare. This project, and we complete that just in 2020, just before the pandemic started. So this project is called SenseCare. So use sensor-enabled effective computing for enhancing medical care. So for this one, we mainly focus on the emotional care or affective computing, and to see how that will affect people with dementia, and very important, their carer. So I don't know if any of you have some loved one suffered from dementia, but if you care for them, you will find yourself in the emotional status as well. On one hand, you do want to provide the best care for your loved one, but on the other hand, the work is tedious, and sometimes you just get tired and you just exhausted. Okay, so that's very important. The effective care need to be provided to both people with dementia and their carer, and also with those emotional care, we hope to be able to look at the cognitive insight as well. So I will spend a little bit more time on this system because it has complete toward, with the trial, and it's more recent. Okay, so for the sense care, the data we use, that we have the E4 respond, and also have the camera. It doesn't have to be this fancy camera. It can be used webcam or just a camera on the computer as well. So then the data collected from the user will be put into our system, and that would be linked with the EHR, electronic health record system. And the data will be fusioned, analyzed, and then visualized and provide feedback, not just to the carer, but also not just to the patient and the carer, but also to the healthcare professional as well. So that's the overall of the system. But if break down to the system, look at the, sorry. Okay, so that's the system. Sorry, I'm going to make this short and spend more time on stop then. So for this system then, what behind that in the machine learning bit is how we can fusion the data from the E4 respond and the camera to detect the emotions. So that became very challenging, because for the E4 respond, the sensor get a reading is from the GSR, and there's a lot of noise as well. So need to do a lot of data pre-processing and feature extraction. And for the camera, that for people that you have been working on the image processing, you will know that the main challenge is the quality of the image, the lighting, etc. So how you will be able to detect the facial expression in the poor lighting, and also the different angle, because the patient may not, or the client may not be sitting face to the camera as what I'm doing now. They may be turned around, and all that provide very challenge in this machine learning bit. But we finished this project and we evaluate that in with the patient with the dementia group in Carrickfergus in in Northern Ireland. We also evaluate that in Spain as well. So I'm now going to introduce the Stop Obesity project. And this project is the most current one, and it will be complete next year. So it's also funded by European Commission Horizon 2020. So for this one, we've tried to develop a platform that can prevent the obesity. So the sensors we use include the smartwatch, wristband, mobile phone as well, and smart in-shows and camera, and also have the chatbot to allow the user to provide self-reporting. And we collect the nutrition data, physical activity data, and physiological data, and together with some bioinformatical data they have. And the platform to fusion those data, analyze those data, and also very important, provide the interactive interface for the chatbot and get the information and put it into the data analytics as well to provide support. And same as before, and have the educational portal to provide them information. But in one extra function we provide is the serious game, so that to keep the system interesting, to get them engaged with the system. So break down to the different part. So for the nutrition side, it's very important. We all know that for the weight management, it's very important. You look at your food intake, your energy intake, and your energy expenditure. So this is the work that we base on, and we on the food classification and calorie estimation, and we use deep learning to do this. And then the chatbot we provide, and the chatbot, this is the weight mentor based on the Facebook platform to help them to manage their weight. And for the Stop platform, then we have the knowledge management platform. So to keep all the data together and integrate them so that it can be used for the data analytics and to be used for the education and feedback. So that's the final version of the chatbot we use in Stop project, and we use the Naive Bayesian and deep learning algorithms to detect the emotion for the if any coming out in the chatbot in the chat. But as I said, you know, you have all the system in place, but it's important. You need to motivate the user to keep using that. Yeah, we all know ourselves. We want to maintain our weight, or we want to lose weight, but we need motivation. The TV is nice. For example, I need to do some yoga practice last night, but I end up finish watching of the Last Kingdom TV series. So that's not good. So how to do this? And that's why the Stop gamification app coming. So we set up the goal for them. And this is from the similar idea that we have in the Smart Self-Management project earlier. So we set up the goal for them and have the goal not just for the physical activity, but also for the water intake, the food, etc., and to provide them the nice interface to motivate them to do that. And that's the physical activity management app that we have. So you can record the physical activities, and that will be together with the food tracker and water intake to provide an overall system for the, you know, obesity management or prevention. So we already evaluate the system. We finished the usability study and the first phase of feasibility study. So overall, people like the platform. They would like to use that frequently, but there are also issues on that, as they found the system was too complex. And then also it's very interesting. Some participants also said, oh, the system is very easy to use. So that comes to the contractive part, and we can discuss that later on, but I leave that question for you to consider. So we are going to roll out the RCT randomized control and test later this month. So it's actually coming in next week. Okay. So this is the other project, ongoing one, will be finished next year. So I'm just going to touch this. So it's focused on the mental health monitoring and through the chatbot, and also linked to the eFor Respond, okay, and or smartwatch. And the current project and the other current project we're working on is the gait analysis and assessment system. So we use the Smart Inshow, okay, and then we develop the mobile app that can monitoring the gait pattern, assess that, and you can be applied to different application. And this is the girl, she's had the car accident and she lost the function. So she tried to do the exercise and she's not likely to regain all the functions, but the exercise can keep her at least not going to be obesity, at least to keep her healthy. And that's the other project that one of my PhD students is doing. Actually, 2 PhD students are doing now. So the care robotics system, from all those wearable sensors, the wearable sensors and IoT sensors, we try to integrate them with the robotic system. So with the robotic system and running at home to provide care for people who need. So there are a lot of challenging here. For example, the indoor navigation, how they can navigate there and how they can integrate the systems or the data there to provide reliable support. And this project is carrying out by my PhD student, Don Adam. So that's provide the self-management for pregnancy women with type 1 diabetes. And this is more complicated. They are not the same as other type 1 diabetes because they are pregnant. You need to take into account of the health from mother and from the baby. So need to take into account the insulin, injection, and also need to make sure their diet is controlled under the health level, but also healthy enough for the baby. And their activities, of course, I know some pregnancy women, they are very good. They are still running 5K. I do see them doing that, but not all. Majority of pregnancy women, they are not able to do that, but they still should do some activities. So what are the relationships between these 5 elements? So that's the ongoing project. So I stopped talking about the project now. So let's talking about the challenges. So what are the challenges? The most challenge bit is how to make sense of the data. There are different data coming here. How can we put the puzzles together? And then some issues that I talked about earlier, the usability. Is this system can be usable? Are they too complex or are they too simple? Now, the users have different background. Some people are very good using mobile app and they may find the system are very easy to use. But some people are not that techy person. So they may find the system are too complex. So can we develop a system that can be adaptive to different users? It's not just, when we carry out usability tests, we use, some university students and university staff. Of course, they give us very high rate because they are very capable. But when we do that with the real user, then the picture different. So that's very important. It's not that straightforward. Okay, the result can be biased. So the accessibility of the system, not just the interface, but also the result, the decision, the advice, the intervention you provide? And how reliable of the system? Can you trust that? And the scalability. And I mentioned before of the connected health platform for self-management. We try to make it scale so that when a new condition comes in, you don't need to start the development from the beginning again. And so all those are very challenging, but I'm going to focus on the first one, making sense of the data. So how can we make sense from the data? When the different data come in, then the nutrition, the activity, the physiological signal, the images, etc. How can we make sense? And sometimes may also have the multi-omics data, the neuron data, etc. So how do we do that? And also maybe environmental data. So to do this, then artificial intelligence played the important role. So we all know that AI now it's very hot in the research and in the innovation as well. So for AI, that is a set of technology that allow machine and computers to stimulate human intelligence. And that has a subset of machine learning, and that focus mainly on the ability of machine to receive data and to improve the data and then at experience. And the deep learning is a subset of machine learning and AI as well. So the beauty of the deep learning, the beauty of the deep learning is it can use more complex structure to build models, and in comparison to the conventional AI or machine learning. So the AI in digital health that has been applied into solve different type of data that I mentioned earlier, ranging from multi-omics data, medical images, electronic patient record or health record, physiological data, behavior data, environmental data, to medications and data, etc. So all those data, how can we integrate them together? How to analyze them? So the challenge, and it's also the opportunities there, is how to integrate the data. So the data integration, normally that can have can be integrated at two levels. That can be at the data-driven level, and that can also be at the model-driven, at the model integrate level. So we can have different type of data just fusion, and then using the machine learning or deep learning method to analyze that. Or you can have different machine learning model and then to put that. And one work we have done is that using the network approach. So you can have the single network to construct the relationships between different healthcare or different data entities. Or you can set up the multi-layered network then to look at the different type of data together. So for example, from omics data, you can set up a layer, and from the medical image layer that you can set up another network, and you can integrate them to do the analysis. So that's very challenge of the work. So, and the other challenge is the model transparency. So when we talk about, the model. And we need to, most of conventional model, they are transparent. If you use, for example, the rule-based, the decision support, that's fine. However, there are some, however, the new systems, or the new model, deep learning models, they are black box and it's not transparent. Now, how can we make this be convinced to the healthcare practice that the result, the model that you develop are correct and they are meaningful? That's more important. So the features that's related to the explainable features and models, so you can explain those and it will be reliable and trustworthy. Those are related. And the other one, sorry, just bring it back. And the other one is the model security. So the model security is specific, important in healthcare. So how, because the health and data, the personal data, they are, you know, they contain a lot of private informations, and those need to be secure. And that's, we need to be very aware of that. And also the other issue is the adversary attack. So how your model will be able to deal with the adversarial attack. And that's very important. Okay. And then the data bias. I talk about the data bias in the usability study. However, in the building model, it also have the data bias issue. And because the data sample, the number of data that you get, which population you take, and that can have big impact on your models, on your digital health system. So that's I think most of us are aware of this. So that's very important. Now, I mentioned earlier about the privacy issue. And so those, and just before I move to the last bit, so those challenges I mentioned, they also provide opportunities, okay? Because with all these challenges, then you can develop your new algorithms, you can improve your system, and so that's all map way to opportunities. Now, the last bit I want to talk about is it's related to the challenge, but also opportunities, which is federated learning. And we talk about the privacy before. So what federated learning can do? Because federated learning can assist with this challenge. And federated learning is a machine learning that where the goal is train a high quality, so centralized model. So basically it use the training data distributed over a large number of the clients. And then you have the goal, you train that, okay? And these clients often have some unreliable and relative slow network connections. And then for the federated learning in health, okay, in health system, or we said health AI system, that can be used to address both issues. So for example, it can be used to develop a privacy preserving federated patient similarity learning method, and that can have that, you know, in the federal and setting that proper, you know, and encrypt patient information can be preserved. so that the quality of patient similarity measurements will be preserved as well. And then for the clinical data, and there are more and more patient generate data nowadays, and this data can be continuously generated from the wearable devices or mobile data or mobile phone as well. So in this case, patient could be reluctant to share their data on some public cloud to change for the model. So with federated learning, the model will be stored in the cloud, but each user can download the current version of the model and to improve that locally with their data. And the model every time change and synchronize will only take the update information. So in that case, that will preserve those privacy issues. So you are not going to have everything, you just have the update one. So I'm going to just conclude my talk. I think I'm already cited over the time. So just to summarize, and digital health is very important in our nowadays of modern society and IT society or IoT society. And then AI is very important. AI play as a brain role in this whole picture that can be used to provide better health and better care, and also bring happier life for us. So that's the end of my talk. And the vision is big, and we will not be able to achieve yet to the end goal now. But what we would do is we can take step-by-step approach, and we work together, and we can strive for the progress, even we are not able to reach the perfection now. So thank you for your attention. And finally, that's all the funding body that I would like to acknowledge. And of course, I would like to thank all my researchers and my PhD students that contribute to the research. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Zheng, for making us aware of digital health with such depth and unique discernments. We believe that the attendees now are aware of the significance of the digital health. We now open the platform for the question and answer session. I request you all to drop your queries in the chat box. This Q&A session will be further taken by my mate, Vanshika.
Thank you, Bhavya. Can you confirm?
सुमन मेरा फोन निकालिए
Thank you, Professor Zhang, for giving us such a knowledgeable session in the chat box. Ma'am, I will dictate questions for you one by one, and you can answer that.
Yep.
Okay. So the first question is the patient's privacy secure in digital health?
Yeah, I think that's the question, one of the challenge I talked about before. So patients' privacy, it's very important. So there are different approach that we can take to ensure the privacy. So in the most of systems for the telecare or telemonitoring, most of systems that one thing people try to do is that not to take the personal information such as address or mobile number, etc. However, that's not sufficient, because when people download the app, etc., when you link into the electronic health record, etc., you will have those information hidden somewhere for the very clever hackers. They will be able to get that. So to prevent of this, there are works have been done. One is the one that I talked there about the federated learning, and that can be used. Okay, and then of course you can also use more of the security approach in the communication, encrypt etc. But the other approach, the other one that relates to the federal learning that I talked about before, is the partial data sharing. So which means only one principle in the healthcare is that you only collect the minimized, the minimal data that you need. So in the digital health, it's the same. When you need to upload or download the data, only do that for the minimal data. So which means you don't upload or download the whole informations there, only the update bit of the data. And for those data, it's the pure data then, and that it's easier to be encrypted. It's easier to keep that safe. So just and to answer the question straightforward, I would say the current digital health system try to do, the goal is to make it as secure as possible, to protect the privacy as much as possible. And now I'm not sure are they 100% if under the very genius, very skillful attacker, but I have to say so far the rollout system are generally secure, but you really need to do all those tests.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is the machine learning entirely federated? If not, can you give some characterization of the kind of data that is federated?
Sorry, could you repeat that question again? Oh yeah, I can see that. Is the machine learning entirely federated? If not, yeah, no, I think the machine learning method you can it's not entirely federated. It depends on what machine learning method you use. Not all machine learning method is federated. Okay, so that's why, and that's my personal view. I think it's the direction that needs to go for the machine learning in healthcare to be federated learning. That's my personal view for that. Yeah. So so for those data, as I said, one way of doing that is that you can store the model in the cloud, but the data then you will be mainly just the data that will be mainly just partially or update data be stored there. So one, let me see of example. So one example, for example, that would be, yeah, for example, I'm just use the wearable and device example. For example, when you have the data there, when you collected more wearable device and data, so the data that should be only the new data would be, encrypt and sent. And one focus now is that during the entire process, all the data should be remained on the local device. Okay, and I think that's the question you asked, where the data locate. So all the data should be remained on the local device, and only the update part, encrypt part, will be sent to the cloud. So no individual update will be stored in the cloud. And then the model will be secure. That's one direction to go. So give the other example. Yeah, give the other example in the SenseCare project that we do, and to take the image. Yeah. So those image information, of course, it's private. We don't want to share with other people. So what we do is, when the streaming video image come in, and we run the algorithms locally, and to extract the features, so all the landmark features, yeah, and we store the features and remove the streaming video. And those features, then only those features will be stored for the in the local machine and for the model training.
Okay, ma'am. The next question is it understandable that you must be taking reasonable care about the privacy of data? But have you developed some mechanism to convince the patients that their data is safe?
Yes, I think that's very important. And you need to tell the user that the data is safe. That's very important. And then, yes, you need to take all the methods or approach that I mentioned earlier to make sure your data is kept safe, and it will not be, it will not be, and yeah, it will not be, let me just check. Yeah, so it will not be taken by other people, even if it's under attack. So that's very important. You don't save those information on the cloud server.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I just see that there is a full data integration tool. Yeah, I'm just reading the question here. So yeah, the data integration, yeah. So yeah, I think the data integration is an ongoing challenge, and it's very challenge, but I think it's a direction as where to go. So for the data, if I'm looking at what we have been doing, and even from the literature that we have been doing, we have read now. So the biggest data integration that we have done is in a project and for patients with dementia. And the Monitor project, it's funded by Invest NI, Innovate UK and EPSRC. So in that project, we try to integrate the data from omics level. So that's for the Alzheimer's disease. So they will have genomics data, proteomics data, and they also have the image data because they need to do the scan and to see their cognitive function, and also have other health record data and their lifestyle data. So that was the largest, the most challenged data integration we have done. So at the genomics level, for the multi-omics level of data integration, it's more or less more mature now because they are on the same domain. But then when we have the data from the omics and image and then the other patient record, that's very challenging. So in that project, we use multiplex network. So which is for each patient that from the omics data have a layer of the network, and then from the image data have a layer of network, electronic record have a layer of network. And so each patient has that, and then the data will be inter layers coupling and use that for the detection. So and the result, of course, it's much better than just use one data because we all know we need to get the whole picture of that. So now to answer the question of will that be foresee a time when all this be put in together? Unfortunately, no, I don't know when that will be really fully integrated. But currently, the current system, they are doing the integrate partially already. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question is, how do the models handle this dynamism, especially with regard to continuous evolvement in the devices which captures this data?
Yeah. So I just looking at the question there. Okay, so the healthcare data is dynamic. Yeah, that's right. And that's actually one of the application why we use the technology to do that, and why we use especially the wearable technology to do that. So for example, for the gait analysis, one assumption is that we can monitor the gait pattern and use that to see to predict the different stage of the disease. Okay. And for the cancer patient, of course, and for dementia patient, of course, all have these different procedures problem. So that's why we need to use those procedures. We need to monitor this. And for that, then, the idea, because there's one mention about the medication. And for that, then one of the goal is through this monitoring or prediction, we'll be able to influence, to provide information to the healthcare professionals so that they can adjust the medication as well. Now, one thing one project that I mentioned earlier, for the pregnancy woman with the type 1 diabetes, one of the main goals is that we hope through this monitoring, because the glucose monitoring, and we'll be able to monitoring the glucose level, and then the Fitbit, etc., will be able to monitor the heart rate and information. So then we hope that the goal is that those information will be provided to the user, and they will be able to adjust the insulin intake do they need or do they not need. So so that's very important. Now, in terms of the model, how to handle this. So one of that is the prediction that I talked about before of different changes. And the other one is very important is when the dynamic information come in. So when we need to be able to provide the accurate prediction of those dynamic information. So that back to the first phase of the machine learning, the data collection. So it's important that we need to capture sufficient data at different stage so that we'll be able to change our models. And also very important, need to be continuously change the models. And so that's back to the federate and healthcare. So when the patient's data or when the user's data come in, update information coming, need to be continuous change models. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much to answering all the questions with such calmness. I hope there is no doubt remaining among the participants now. Now, moving further, I want to invite Bhavya. Over to you, Bhavya.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering each and every question so gracefully. Now we have Professor Naveen Kumar from Department of Computer Science, University of Delhi, India. We would like to invite him to say a few words about this session.
Thank you, ma'am. It has been
indeed
a great pleasure to listen to this talk by Professor Jain. And it has been so interesting and at a level where people with different backgrounds can really comprehend. And beginning with the basic chronic conditions and where ma'am's work has been. So it is so important that Professor Jain is relating her work to the chronic conditions, because the short-term illness when it comes and goes, it doesn't hurt us so much. It doesn't impact our life for such a long time. Even if the illness is serious, but the chronic illness keeps troubling us all the time. So it is in this context that Professor Jain's lecture is so important, and she has referred to the state-of-the-art technologies around which so much work revolves around. And with the help of the lot of wearing technologies, a lot of digital technologies which can support health by self-management system. So it has been really a very interesting talk, and equally important, the questions have been answered so patiently that we are all overwhelmed. So thank you so much, Professor Jain, and thank you, the organizers, for giving me this opportunity.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Kumar.
Thank you so much, sir, for your inspiring and enthralling word. We are obliged to you. We would now. We also have our eminent research scholar, Mrs. Dawn, who is nursing and computing herself. Mrs. Dawn, we would like to request you to kindly share your views. I would request Mrs. Dawn to share her views. Are you there?
I guess she left the meeting.
I think Mrs. Dawn is not here, so we can proceed. And I would like to now invite Dr. Manju Bharadwaj to deliver the vote of thanks. And she's serving as the NAC coordinator of Maitri College, University of Delhi. So over to you, Dr. Manju, ma'am. Apologies for the delay. Dr. Manju Bharadwaj from Department of Computer Science is joining us shortly. So we're just apologies for this delay. So Dr. Manju Bharadwaj, the NAC coordinator of Maitri College, is with us. I would like to invite Dr. Manju to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Jyotsna. Thank you for giving this opportunity to me. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am, you're perfectly.
Okay. Okay, I would like to thank Professor Jain for joining us and giving us such good insights about how the health can be taken care of digitally, the tools that can be developed. I think this is really going to help our students take up projects. Like our computer science students are really going to get benefited, but not only they're going to be benefited from this, but I think more avenues can be opened up if they understand how digital health can be managed. So it is not only about computer science, but I think the people from the students from other disciplines could also be benefited by understanding how the health can be maintained digitally. So I think this was a lecture which is going to help us in multiple ways, not just computer science, but other disciplines also. And I think we have few students who are not from computer science discipline also. I would really like to thank Jyotsna for arranging this talk and pulling in Professor Jain for this. And really thankful to Professor Jain for interacting with our students, handling the questions, answering our questions, answering our queries. And we are looking forward to more such interactions in the future. I would like to thank our principal, Professor Haritma Chopra, for helping us in organizing, for providing support for organizing these events. And thanks to all the participants who have taken out the time to join us and interacting with the speaker. Thank you all of you for being here. Thanks Jyotsna once again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manju. That was really kind of you. So I think now we can have a group photograph, and I request all the participants to kindly switch on their cameras so that we can have a group photograph and have a record of memory of this lecture. I request the team to please click the photographs.
Yes, ma'am, we are done.
Thank you so much. So I think now we are towards the end of the session. We'll be sharing a feedback form link in the chat box, and from there I request all the participants to please fill up the feedback form, and you'll be receiving the certificates on the basis of the registrations and the feedback form submitted to our department. So once again, I would like to request all to fill up the feedback forms and
Last but not the least, we would like to appreciate and thank everyone who made this convention possible. Although we had a rough start, but this webcast went so smoothly soon after. We appreciate your forbearance for this. All wells when it end well. A special thanks to Professor Zeng, who bestowed us with her presence and knowledge. Thank you once again, everyone, for coming. You all may sign up now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I hope we can collaborate again in the future. Thank you.